What's going on, everybody? This is Island Hopper TV, and today we're coming to you from Israel. We're going to show you the top 32 things to do while visiting. There will be timestamps below. First up, we're at the Holy Sepulcher Church here in the old city of Jerusalem. This is actually said to be the place where Jesus was crucified, buried, and then resurrected. Nowadays, when you go inside here, you will come to the Calvary Chapel, making this the site of the crucifixion. The church is actually controlled by several Christian denominations, including the Greek Orthodox, the Armenian Apostolic. The Holy Sepulcher is a popular pilgrimage site for many Christians to arrive by the millions every single year. While I was visiting here, the thing that impressed me the most, aside from being at one of the most holy sites in Christianity, was the artwork that was on the walls. This is truly some incredible mosaic art. And from the Holy Sepulcher, let's go out and walk around the streets of Old Jerusalem. This is definitely something you're going to want to do because you're going to find shops that have souvenirs, but also walking these old ancient streets really does leave an impression upon you. Now, these streets have another name. It's called Via Dolorosa, and this is actually the way that Jesus took when he was carrying the cross to Calvary. And as you're walking along Via Dolorosa, there is 14 stations that symbolize each occurrence of events chronologically in the process of Jesus' crucifixion. And in case you're wondering what the translation of Via Dolorosa is, it has an Arabic name that translates to the Way of Pain. Now here we are at the Western Wall, also known as the Wailing Wall or the Kotel. It's an ancient limestone wall located here in the old city of Old Jerusalem, and it is considered one of the holiest sites in Judaism. Revered as a place of prayer for pilgrimage, the Western Wall is believed to be the last retaining wall of the Second Temple, which was destroyed by the Romans in 70 CE. For centuries, Jews from all over the world have come here to pray at the Western Wall and recite Psalms. While here, you will notice that the women pray on one side and the men on another.
All right, now we've made it to the Jewish quarter. We're going to walk around and see what's life like inside here.
Now, there are 4 quarters in the old city of Jerusalem. The Jewish quarter is actually the oldest. The other ones are going to include the Armenian quarter, the Christian quarter, and the Muslim quarter. Now, here in the Jewish quarter, you're going to find historic synagogues, yeshivas, which is Jewish religious schools, as well as other significant Jewish sites. The old city was restored in 1967.
And right here, we're actually at the Jaffa Gate. This was an old Ottoman gate, 16th century.
Now, the Jaffa Gate is actually one of 8 gates around the old city walls. Those other ones include the Damascus Gate, the Golden Gate, Herod's Gate, Lion's Gate, Silwan Gate, as well as Zion Gate and Dung Gate.
Okay, and now we've made it to the Damascus Gate, which is the Muslim quarter.
Now, the important thing to know about each one of these is they point in different directions. For example, the Damascus Gate goes towards Syria.
So we were attempting to go to the Dome of the Rock, but we were told Muslims only, so we won't be able to go over there. But you guys know what the Golden Dome looks like, so
we will leave it at that since we weren't allowed to go in.
And here we are at the birthplace of the Virgin Mary.
Now, when you go inside the birthplace of the Virgin Mary, it's basically downstairs into the underground area, and then you will finally arrive at the bottom where you will see the actual area where they say the Virgin Mary was born. For those of you who do not know, this is Mary, the mother of Jesus. Now, the Mount of Olives is significant for Jews as they have the cemetery nearby here, a burial site, but also this is where Judas betrayed Jesus, as well as where Jesus ascended to heaven from. From here, you can also get great pictures of the Dome of the Rock and the rest of Old Jerusalem. Now, what we are going to do is head over into Palestine. You can see there are many walls here. This is actually in the direction of Bethlehem. Bethlehem is actually the birthplace of Jesus, and this is where the Church of Nativity is, where the pilgrimage route to Bethlehem actually is. Once you go inside the church, you will be led through the church down to the cave area where the nativity and the manger area was, Nowadays you go there and you will see the actual cave where Jesus was said to have been born. The thing I want to tell you about crossing into Palestine is it is a high security zone going from Jerusalem to Bethlehem, so make sure you are with a trusted guide. All right, we're back in Jerusalem from Bethlehem, and we're here at the City of David. Now, the City of David is actually an archaeological site located just outside the old city walls here in Jerusalem, and it is considered the birthplace of the city of Jerusalem. The city was actually established 3,000 years ago by King David. For the most part, it sits on the sides of these cliffs, so you're constantly working your way down as you go deeper into the aquifers. This is actually called the Gihon Spring, which was the primary source of water for the ancient city. This is why they built the city right here. And now there's an underground water tunnel that allowed access to the spring, so you just go down there and you'll see there is still flowing water. And as we continue to show you around Israel, in particular Jerusalem right now, I want to remind you guys that we've made videos about Tel Aviv, things to know about Israel, as well as a full Jerusalem travel guide. I will put those links below so you guys can watch those after the video, but let's keep this tour moving.
And here on Mount Zion, you can find the Room of the Last Supper and King David's tomb.
Mount Zion is on the outside of the old city walls, but it is an important holy site here in Jerusalem because it's believed to be where the first and the second temples once stood. In Christian tradition, Mount Zion is associated with the Last Supper and the Church of the Dormition, a Catholic church, which is located here. This is still a very active, holy site for Jews, as you will see them studying the Torah and other scriptures right here. As you arrive, you will see King David's tomb is right here in this area, in this little building. Not much to see here, but it is a significant site because King David was a very important figure in the Holy Bible. Next up, we take the bus from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv. It takes about an hour and a half to get there, depending on traffic, sometimes faster, sometimes slower. But once you're in Tel Aviv, you will see you're in a very modern city with lots of high-rises, efficient modern transportation, and beautiful beaches. The population of Tel Aviv is around 455,000 people, but if you include the entire metropolitan area, it's well over 4 million. So this is a very large city right here on the Mediterranean coast. Tel Aviv is actually considered the country's second largest city just after Jerusalem, founded in 1909 as a suburb of the ancient city port of Jaffa, which we will be showing you a little bit later here. Now, Tel Aviv does include the White City, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which has over 4,000 buildings in the international style, and the Tel Aviv Museum of Art, which is something you would want to see and do here, along with head down to some of the beaches, which we will be showing you here. Most of the entire coastline of Tel Aviv is soft white sand. It's more of a golden sand, I should say. But some of the popular beaches are going to be something like Gordon Beach, which is located right in the heart of the city. This is probably the most popular one. Then there's Frishman Beach, which is known for its lively, trendy atmosphere. And then there's Banana Beach, which is a little bit more quiet. Hilton Beach is a popular spot for water sports. People who are trying to get out there on the water and do some surfing maybe, or some windsurfing because of strong winds. Also a dog-friendly beach. And then there's Alma Beach, which is actually located at the southern end of the city. Tel Aviv does have a very long boardwalk that you can walk, but why walk when you can take a bird scooter or get a bike? They even have electrical bikes. And now here we are at the ancient port of Jaffa, which we talked about previously from the Jaffa Gate, because that pointed towards the old port here of Jaffa. It's known for its Jaffa Clock Tower, the St. Peter's Church, the flea market, which is a popular place to go around and do some shopping. You might even find some antiques here. They also have delicious Middle Eastern cuisine, many different art galleries and studios. So for those of you who want to learn about the history of jewelry and other arts here in Jaffa, definitely check those out. Of all the places that I went in Tel Aviv, I would say that Jaffa was the one that really got my attention the most in terms of historical value for Tel Aviv and just the overall architecture and feel. As you can see walking around here in the old city of Jaffa port, they've got a lot of rock work. So really a bustling port many moons ago, but now it's a lot more relaxed. Here we are looking at some Yemenite art. So these are the Yemeni people. They do an interesting type of art. This is the Ben Zion David Yemenite Art Center. But you'll notice, because there's many tribes of Israel, when they all came back to Israel, they came from different places, like Libya or Yemen or places in Europe. So they have these different areas of art that the tribes of Israel brought with them back home to Israel. And that's what makes exploring the different art areas of Tel Aviv so interesting. But just look at this incredible jewelry and the unique style. Now, here we're going to talk about riding bikes. Because Tel Aviv has, for the most part, flat topography, it's really a great place to ride these bikes, especially along the boardwalk, like we said previously. Now, there are some apps that I do recommend you actually downloading before you get here, but they have the Lime app, they also have Bird app, and that makes it easy to rent the bike, or in this case, ride a scooter. You can see this is a Lime scooter, so you just use the app, however long you use it, and then you put it back and you're done, and it charges you anywhere between a few dollars or maybe even 10 depending on how long you do it. What most people do is they just run it for a little bit and then they put it back. They don't run the timer, and then when they need a new one, they just simply get a new one when they're ready to leave. Now let's actually talk about shopping here in Israel. So you have many different markets. You have the Mahani Yehuda market located in Jerusalem, which is a popular marketplace. Then you have the Carmel market located in Tel Aviv. It's one of the largest and busiest markets. Then you have the Jaffa flea market, which we talked about earlier. You also have the Tel Aviv port. And then you have the Azrieli Center, which is a modern shopping mall located in the heart of Tel Aviv. So a lot of different shopping. Now when it comes to picking out souvenirs and sending them home to your family, you do want to make sure that it is handcrafted here in Israel and not something that's imported from places like, say, China, which wouldn't make an authentic Israeli piece of art or relic or figurine, whatever it is that you're sending home. Yeah, so you can do some shopping in Jerusalem, and that stuff is not originally handmade here in Israel. But if you come out here to Bethlehem and you do some shopping here, you get authentic olive wood made in Israel right here in Palestine. Now we're going to head over to Eilat. This is a resort city located in the southernmost part of Israel along the shores of the Red Sea. So it's not along the Mediterranean. Now they have the Coral Beach Nature Reserve, which is actually a protected marine reserve located south of Eilat. Then you have the Dolphin Reach, which is a unique attraction where you can actually swim with dolphins in their natural habitat. You have the Underwater Observatory Marine Park, and you have a lot of malls and shopping here. But like I said, it is a resort city right here on the border with Jordan. We actually crossed the border here at the Yitzhak Rabin border terminal from Jordan into Eilat. It was a bit of a high security border crossing, so keep that in mind if you do plan to do something like that. But while here, you can actually swim in the Red Sea. The Red Sea is known for its coral reefs. They say it's some of the best diving you'll find anywhere in the world, mostly because it's got no algae or any sort of marine life, just mostly coral. And coral grows because of clear water and sunlight. But if going underwater is not quite your thing, you can also do watercraft. So renting a lot of different watercraft here out of Eilat. Also, you can do that in the Mediterranean, but you can see they've got everything from these dolphin charter boats, private boats. They've also got fishing boats, banana boats. Lots of fun. Now let's talk about Israeli food. So what can you expect here? Well, lots of different breads, and then you're going to have hummus, which is a popular Middle Eastern dip made from chickpeas. Lots of different dips here, I noticed, like tahini, other types of jams. As you can see, just a wide variety right here. And then for breakfast, expect some eggs and some variety meat, and also more bread. Bread. They love their bread here, right? And then they have shawarma, which is this very juicy barbecue meat that's very common here, as well as falafel, which is chickpea balled up and fried. And one thing I will say about the food out here, if your mouth is not already salivating and your taste buds are not saying gimme gimme, I'd be surprised, because the food out here is quite delicious. And you can see they do have the Israeli salad, which is going to be tomatoes and lemon with some olive oil and cucumber. They also have quite a bit of international cuisine and fruit juices. Fruit juice is a popular thing here. And of course, because of its location on the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, there's going to be plenty of seafood options here. But if meat's not your thing, they do have alternatives such as eggplant, boiled eggs. You can definitely get some sabich, rekas, pastries filled with cheese, spinach, potatoes, or sometimes even meat. Some of my favorite drinks are going to include the lime and Sal Pellegrino sparkling mineral water with some mint. And of course, plenty of cafes which include coffee. Now let's talk about saving money on accommodation, pod hotels. So when you come to Israel, first thing you'll realize, Tel Aviv in particular is one of the most expensive cities in the world, but staying at a pod hotel or a hostel or one of these cheaper accommodation can save you a lot of money per night. This here is a look at a pod hotel right there on the beach in Tel Aviv. You can easily just walk across the street, rent one of those bird scooters or a bike, and then voila, you're going up and down the beach scene here in Tel Aviv quite easily. Believe it or not, they do get some nice waves out here in Israel, so you can do surfing. You will see many people out there on the water doing lots of surfing because the waves are just so friendly. You're not going to get the big swells, but you get some really nice waves that can make it fun. The best beach, they say, is south of Kasera at Eilat Beach, which is probably the best option. It's uncrowded and the waves breaking just in front of the local power plant turbines. You know, Israel may be a small country with a population of around 8 million people, but it really is filled with a lot of activities for outdoor lifestyle. And the climate year-round is very mild. In the summertime, it can get quite sweltering, and some of the mountains in the winter do get a little bit of snow, but not too bad. Now we're going to go inland a bit to the Sea of Galilee, also known as Lake Kinneret. It is a freshwater lake. It's not actually a sea, so people coming out here thinking it's an ocean, nope. They have the Mount of Beatitudes, which is where Jesus is believed to have given his Sermon on the Mount. But here at Sea of Galilee, you're going to have boat tours, beaches, and other activities to do. And here we are in the north at Nazareth, which is an important place for Christians because Jesus of Nazareth is from here. You have Mary's Well, you have the Old City Market, the Basilica of the Annunciation. So coming up here to Nazareth might just be worth it. And while you're here, you can also visit the Sea of Galilee, which is right down the road. Nazareth is a popular city because of its unique blend of history, culture, and religion, but also because it is up and coming as a modern city. Now here we are at the River Jordan. Now most of it is in Jordan, which is next door to Israel, so you would have to cross the border. But visiting the baptism site where Jesus was baptized by John, you do have a lot of historical relevance to this site, but it's also got some water sports and rafting that you can do here. But mostly it is a historical relevant site because of this being where the baptism took place. Many people from around the world like to pilgrimage here so that they can also get baptized at this location. And from the River Jordan, we're actually going to head back into Israel. This time we're going to Haifa, which is a beautiful city located in the northern part, right next to the slopes of Mount Carmel. They have the Baha'i Gardens, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. They have the Stella Maris Monastery, the Haifa Museum of Art, and so much more, including Haifa's German colony, which is an interesting neighborhood to explore. But really, the Haifa port is becoming one of Israel's main port centers, so Haifa is, of course, becoming popular because of that. Now let's talk about riding the bus more in detail. So we've taken buses across Israel from Eilat to Jerusalem and then Jerusalem to Tel Aviv. You can also take a bus from Tel Aviv to Haifa or any of these cities around. And the bus is affordable, comfortable, it's got air conditioning, and you can put your luggage underneath. This is one of the best ways to get around Israel. And here we are at the Dead Sea, which is considered the lowest elevation on Earth. So when you come out here, you're going to be right there on the border with Jordan.
All right, guys, time to go take a dip in the Dead Sea. Let's do it.
The water is extremely salty, but because of that, you do float. I did a mud bath while I was here, which is cool, but don't go underwater because the salt is so strong.
Time to wash this mud off.
And the reason it is called the Dead Sea is because all of that salt makes it impossible for any sort of life to exist in the actual water. And of course, because of the proximity of Israel facing across the Mediterranean, you can watch sunsets from a variety of different places. People do come out here and do what I consider to be sun worship, because people flock here to the parks at the evening time to watch the sun go down, and who could blame them? It really is an amazing experience. Of course, the sun going down, transitioning into night, and then opening up the nightlife across Israel, in Tel Aviv, the nightclub. Most of the nightlife is going to be in Tel Aviv, with a plethora of bars, nightclubs, restaurants, the city of Rothschild Boulevard, Allenby Street area. But also Jerusalem, even though a bit calmer, does have plenty of options, including a growing craft beer scene and several bars and clubs. Haifa has a nightlife scene that's quite popular in the German colony area. Eilat, I'm not going to sit here and say that it has the most party atmosphere when I was there, but what I've read online is it is popular. And then there's Tiberias, another popular place for people with nightlife. So that's going to conclude this episode of Island Hopper TV, showing you around Israel. If you enjoyed this one and want to watch more details, watch things to know about visiting Israel, as well as our Jerusalem and Tel Aviv videos. I'll put links right here at the end. And a big thanks to all of our subscribers and channel members who support us.